Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hi, welcome to the show called Mike's Daily Podcast. I'm Mike Matthews. I was really energetic at the beginning of the show. Hey, look what the podcast picture is. It's a
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's a ground squirrel at Peninsula Park in San Leandro. Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. It's somewhere in PodCastro Valley, and it's fast. The beginning of the show, it moves so fast. Now it's going to slow down. Now it's going to get fast again. Now it's FF episode 2054. 2054. Woo! Who could ask for more? 2054.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth. Happy Friday.
Mike's
Here we are.
Daily
Eating cereal.
Podcast.
We have a lovely lady friend here.
Yeah!
It's going to be in just a second. You're going to hear her because I'll turn her microphone on in just a little bit. But right now she's eating Cheerios. And okay, because that's fun. Cheerios are delicious. Yay. I am going to turn your microphone. Say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Now say it. Now say it.
Hello.
Now say it.
Hello.
Now say it.
Hello.
Now say it.
Hello.
Awesome. She is eating cereal because it's her go-to super fast food. She's eaten it on the podcast before.
Yeah.
I like it too. It's got some good things in it for you. Hey, so you know what you were doing a little while ago? You were watching a bunch of late night talk show hosts.
Yes.
You know what I noticed? I didn't know this before. There are two talk show hosts that do a Trump impression. Unless does Jimmy Fallon do a Trump impression?
Here's today's podcast picture.
No?
I don't really watch Jimmy Fallon too much.
Stephen Colbert does. Seth Meyers does. They do exactly like the Alec Baldwin's impression.
But Stephen Colbert's, I think, is better than Seth's.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I just saw a clip from Seth's show, and it was good. His impression was good, but I think Colbert is more spot on.
It lacked believability. So they don't do as much of a monologue on the Seth Meyers show as with Stephen Colbert. Basil doesn't like any monologues.
Nope.
He's like, no, I don't need it. I don't. You know what I want? He said, I want to watch golf. Golf is the most exciting game ever. I love it. That's what he just said. Basil's doing better. He got us a little scared last night. He wasn't eating. And I talked on the podcast a little bit about what happened yesterday, but yeah, it was just this weird thing. I think it comes down to something to do with his throat, but now he's drinking water. We're giving him a Pedialyte that's giving him a lot of energy and chicken broth. And he seems to be doing, and actually he ate a little bit today. So.
Yeah, he's basically hopped up on sugar.
Lovely. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I blew out my microphone. It's gone now. My microphone blew up. Oh well. I don't know how you're hearing me now, but through the brain. This is through brain signals. Brain waves. Boop. Boop. Lovely lady friend petted him all day today.
Yes.
Thank you, lovely lady friend.
Comforting him.
So, hopefully he'll do better.
Did that podcast picture with the squirrel?
Yes.
Was Basil with you when you took that picture?
Yes.
Was because the squirrel looks pretty alert in that picture. Yeah. He looks like he's ready to run.
Oh no, a dog.
Did he see Basil?
Oh yeah. And Basil saw him.
They made eye contact with each other.
And you know,
like a stare down.
They make that weird whistle chirp.
Oh yeah.
That type thing. Mm-hmm. And Basil used to see him and, go running after him. And Do you see in the background? That's the mountains there. I think of like San Mateo and in the peninsula.
Huh.
And the clouds were coming over them, much like they were today, and cooling everything off and making it oh so nice.
Thankfully, yes.
So here, you and I yesterday saw a little bit of Al Sharpton with a memorial
Yes.
to George Floyd, and I was amazed. I mean, we have people here all the time at Cafe anyway. That's why we have all that noise in the background. Everyone's standing 8 feet apart. But this was the first thing I've seen on television where there was a bunch of people together in the church. It looked like they were kind of doing social distancing. A lot of people had masks on, and they were, protecting themselves that way. But that was the first, late night talk show hosts have had audiences. I don't know about sporting events.
We saw that, was it the French Open? Some tennis match. Where
Right. That was the other time we went into Posh Bagel.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Both times we watched, both of the instances that we're talking about, we saw on the Posh Bagel's big flat screen TV just going on all day. So they had the memorial on, and then they had on the French Open. And at the French Open, people were sitting next to each other, but in groups and then spaced out around the spectator area. So what is going to happen with these late night talk show hosts and all these other people that usually have an audience? Are they eventually going to get an audience, and then they just spread them all out around the theater? Who knows? But anyway,
Yeah. Well, it's, how do you... People are mad. They are braving a pandemic to mourn and to express their rage.
Yes. And I think it was powerful, and it showed how important it was that people are like, I'm going to brave this just because of the situation. And
well, it's like, what's worse, the virus of racism or
the coronavirus? Yes.
That's the kind of world we live in right now, where we have to make choices between those two, huh?
That's the big question of the moment. We're definitely trying to fight both right now. We have two battlefronts going on. One day, hopefully, they'll both be gone.
But I think people are doing a good job of, for the most part, peacefully coming together and being... I still see lots of like these throngs of protesters with masks on.
Yeah.
So, people are trying to be conscious of both, but my God, my heart goes, how do you keep both things in mind at the same time?
Protesting safe.
Safe protesting. Is that, that sounds like kind of an oxymoron.
And it made me wonder, I don't know, from a nonverbal point of view, nonverbal communication, I studied a little bit of that in college. And, we pick up certain cues from each other, from our mouths, from our faces. And here you've got police in riot gear and their faces hidden like RoboCop. And you've got protesters with their faces covered, with their mouths covered anyway. And it's spooky. It looks like it looks surreal. And the communication going back and forth between these two is just pure, it's not the best. It's not a welcoming. You were showing me a fascinating TED Talk today about an African-American male, a musician,
Daryl Davis,
who wrote a book talking about how he didn't understand why people are racist towards black people. Why? What's the deal? And so he met up with some Ku Klux Klan members, actually talked to a Grand Wizard, and actually became friends with them. It's a whole thing. I can't even give it justice with how he described it, but it's on... You found it on YouTube?
Well, he's Daryl Davis. He's written a book as well. And that's actually how a lot of these conversations came about. It was while he was doing research for this book. I think it's called Clan, as in K, the KKK clan. Clandestine.
Oh.
And it's his kind of a memoir, autobiographical account of his trying to answer this question. How can you hate someone without knowing anything about them?
Yeah.
Other than, just the color of their skin. How can you hate someone based on that solely?
Excellent question. In fact, at the TED Talk, he had the Grand Wizard's cloak because the guy just gave it to him and gave up being a clan member.
He has several.
Several of them.
Yeah.
And he is a piano player, or a boogie-woogie piano player. Does some fun blues music. And these former Ku Klux Klan members show up to his concerts to watch him. He was talking about he was taking a road trip with a white guy. And the white man, who I think was probably maybe still with the KKK, said something.
No, he's not.
He's
actually.
not. Oh,
no. I think he was one of the higher level KKK members.
But who was the one that?
It's like not the is it Imperial Wizard or?
Grand.
It wasn't that one. It was like, what did he say? It was
something dragon.
Cyclops. Something
the Cyclops. Yeah.
Something Cyclops. Yes, and after that conversation that they had in the car, about 5 months later, this guy actually quit.
Wow.
He gave up his membership, and that was the first robe that he got.
Ah, okay. But what was the conversation he had with a white guy saying, the white guy said, black people have a gene that makes them violent. And he said, what was his name?
That was the same
Daryl?
guy.
And he said, I'm not violent. Why do you say that about me? And the white guy says, well, it's recessive. It hasn't.
It's a latent gene.
Yeah, it's latent. Hasn't become active yet. And then which he replied, well, then you're a serial killer. And he goes, no, I'm not. And he goes, well, maybe it just hasn't become active yet. Because all white guys, like the famous serial killers are white.
He asks him to name 3 black serial killers.
Oh, that's right.
And
he couldn't think of any. Now, you follow a lot of serial killers. You were all into that Netflix show about serial killers.
Yes.
That was spooky. You're eating cereal right now, actually, so.
God, I'm really trying not to make my chews audible.
The biggest bowl of almond milk and Cheerios I've ever seen.
I do use a lot of milk. See, I find that there's 2 camps with people and their cereal and milk. They either you're in the camp that doesn't use a lot of milk and they like more cereal.
Yeah.
They like their cereal more dry.
It's healthier that way.
I don't know about that, but
I do.
I enjoy the taste.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more fun to have more milk with your cereal. I don't know. I grew up eating, lots of stews and,
I never have made you stew, have I? I gotta make you stew.
Well,
do you want me to change my name to Stew?
Stew Mike?
Stu Matthews? Stu Matthews. That works great. All right. Well, that's why she likes serial killers and why she likes cereal and
why I like serial killers.
No,
I do not like serial killers.
No, we all hate them, but she finds it fascinating about the past case histories and. Yes.
Well, yeah. How does one become a serial killer?
They kill people.
That process.
Oh yeah.
How do they cross that line?
Crazy. One interesting thing, though, if we can go back to the protests and the vandalism and the looting, there was a story in the East Bay Express, about the theories that have emerged. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz shared unconfirmed reports that white supremacists had infiltrated protests in Minneapolis. In Tennessee, a known white supremacist was arrested for setting fire to the courthouse during a protest there. And Black Lives Matter San Diego had to issue a statement warning of a fake BLMSD Twitter page announcing another protest, which they suspected had been made by white supremacists. Though difficult to confirm, officials and police chiefs are reporting that May 29th saw an explosion of white supremacist activity during protests on that day, and are considering if an organized effort to disrupt peaceful protests and incite violence between black communities and the police all over the country had been planned beforehand. So that's but I found that fascinating.
Yeah, sure. But that's nothing new. Like white supremacists trying to derail people fighting for racial justice. That's nothing new. I guess I would want to know what's the point, for what purpose, right? Like what? I think that's a more interesting story.
To derail protests.
Why?
To derail protests.
Why?
They don't like protests. So they're protesting that, and they're putting blame on the people that are protesting. But that's anyway. In this article, there, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf said during a press conference on Saturday, urging residents and protesters to stay home, "We want to make it clear this will not be tolerated." Talking about the graffiti-covered walls, sidewalks, and pavement, charred garbage cans. This was in Oakland, obviously. So, but...
Well, obviously? What?
Because she's the mayor of Oakland.
Oh.
A large number of protesters marched near Lake Merritt, while a Saturday evening, a caravan in memory of Floyd traveled across the city. But that's fine. It's just the violence and people, that were taking advantage of it. So that's an article in the East Bay Express that you can find right now. It's called Dark Night of the Stole. So, we're outside a cafe anyway here in PodCastro Valley. Let's say hi to some people here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? I want some of that delicious cereal, lovely lady friend.
I brought some for your horse.
Thanks. Millie would like to have some of that.
Oh,
y'all.
Is she allergic to sunflower seeds?
Yeah.
Oh, dang it.
Don't kill my horse.
Sorry.
Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. This is the Disgruntled Fiddle Player telling you what. Hi, lovely lady friend.
Hello, Disgruntled Fiddle Player. I never see you playing your fiddle. Is that why you're disgruntled?
Yes, because the fiddle confounds me. It's an evil instrument, and it makes me very mad. Thus, I am disgruntled.
I thought I saw you at one of the protests.
I was there. I was handing out water bottles.
Ah, okay.
I believe people should not be thirsty.
Good man.
When they are protesting.
All right. Doing your part.
It gets hot out there. I like to keep people... I think we're of a smarter mind. And we have a little bit better sense of what's going on when we have more liquids in our bodies.
This is right. You're so right. Disgruntled.
Tell you what.
What's your real name?
My name is Pom blah blah.
Wow, that's a hard name to say.
Yeah,
That's why I just say, just call me Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
How about DGF?
DGF, I like that.
Like that?
Some people have called me that, but...
Okay.
If I was like a rapper, I could be DGF.
The notorious DGF?
But I don't really like that kind of music. No disrespect.
What do you like?
Country.
You like, oh, okay.
I like the fiddle, but I don't like to play the fiddle. That's why I'm disgruntled.
I see.
I think we went over this earlier.
We did, and we've come full circle.
Look, we circled back. I hate that expression. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. Have some right now. Oh, boy. My root beer is full of racial tolerance.
Wow. Wait, but you also threaten to cut people if they don't drink your...
No, I don't. Drink some right now. Oh, boy. I'll cut you.
See? She's right. Oh. How can we learn to coexist when this happens? I don't get it. Well, I think we covered a lot on today's show. I was going to talk about how to keep your New Year's resolutions, but I think because it's already halfway through the year, but we really don't care about that because this is half the year is gone. What a year it has been.
2020 has been quite the year, and it's not over.
But good news.
6 months left.
No, I know we've been a little dark and sad on the show today, and we tried to uplift you and put you in a good state of being. Did you know that the experts, the financial experts, were saying that we were going to lose when the job report came out? I think it came out today. That we were going to lose 7 million jobs. Somehow, in the past month, we have gained 2 million jobs. That's fantastic. It means the experts don't know what the hell they're talking about, I guess. But
Or the data is not accurate.
then why do you got to do that?
I'm just saying.
Why do you got to do that? The data is always accurate. But if you think about it, I don't know, maybe it puts us in a mind that there are a lot of people hiring right now. In fact, companies are hiring again. A lot of big department stores. Well, and then what do you call Walmart? What kind of a store is that? It's just, the everything.
An obscene.
Is it a big box store? Is that? No, that's Costco. Obscene big store. Cafe anyway. Restaurants are hiring. And, Home Depot, Lowe's, all those type of places are hiring. So people are getting hired again, which is good. And it was just this big economic atom bomb that happened 10 weeks ago with the coronavirus. And it was interesting because the stock market was, at the beginning, was okay, and then it took a big dive when it started to become very prevalent. People were losing their jobs and getting pay cuts, like, here's truly, and all the other stuff. So here's to hoping that things turn around. And yes, maybe the data's wrong, and maybe it's all dark, and you're all going to die, and maybe that's what Lovely Lady Friend's trying to tell you.
Well, no, you're right. The numbers don't lie, but how they frame it.
Who cares about context? Jimmy Kimmel constantly takes our beloved Pat Robertson out of context. And Pat Robertson said on his show to Trump, what was it, calling governors jerks? He said, that's not cool.
Not cool, Mr. President.
Not cool, Mr. President. And Pat Roberts is... Pat Robertson?
He said, you don't do that, Mr. President.
Yes.
It's not cool.
Pat Robertson, sorry. 700 Club.
90-year-old Pat Robertson.
I used to watch that show. I used to do the overnight in the 90s at this station in Thousand Oaks called KNJO, and I'd come... Check this out. I'd be driving home from Thousand Oaks. It was like an hour drive to where I lived, and I'd get home. On my way home, I would listen to Howard Stern because he was still live on the air from New York, but being carried in L.A. And then when I got home, I'd turn on the 700 Club. Talk about making your brain explode.
What, to go from Howard Stern to the 700 Club?
Yeah. That was quite a change.
Nice.
Quite a shift. And there was this cool bakery in Oxnard Shores that served these maple scones. Oh, they were so good. I can't remember the name of the place, but I loved it. Okay, that's...
Oh, speaking of scones, we had a really good scone today. Can we give a shout out?
By the way, that's the name of the show, Scones.
Scones.
Okay, go ahead.
Can we give a shout out?
Yes. I think we mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but...
Posh
okay.
Bagel?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, because we were talking about the flat screen TV we always see.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes. Well, Posh Bagel in Castro Valley. Wonderful family-owned business. Great, friendly folks there. Great service. And so we go there a lot. And we've become, well, I wouldn't say we're not friends with the owner.
We've been to his house.
Been to his house.
No, we haven't.
Well, anyway, long story short, he gave us a scone. He hooked us up with free stuff.
So this plug actually, we've actually been compensated for this plug.
Ah, that's
Look at
right.
that. Wow,
Yes.
that's like never happens. Usually I have to follow up my plugs with slugs because I never get any compensation, but yay!
We got a donut and a scone.
So good.
I think, didn't we eat No, we ate the scone today.
Yeah. And the donut was this awesome like strawberry thing with icing on it. It was so caked in icing I could barely see the donut. It was so amazing.
So good.
What is the kombucha place that they serve kombucha, or they have bottles of it from Half Moon Bay? Do you remember the name?
Moss Landing Brewery.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay, and they make a kombucha now.
Yeah.
And they got this cute little seal on the front and little ocean type scenery on it. It's very good, but it's very hard to find. And they have it at the Posh Bagel.
Yes, check it out.
Excellent. Well, thank you, my lovely lady friend, for being on today's show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
I think we learned a lot today about cereal and scones and tolerance, coexistence, insistence, disgruntled fiddle players, and Pat Robertson's, and the rest. Thank you, lovely lady friend.
Thank you, Mike Stu.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!